All right. All right, so we're gonna start seated. No, on the floor, sorry. I mean, you could do it in a chair. You have a chair, you could do it on the chair. But... All right, so let's start with small joints. Let's start with the feet. All right, so to begin with, we're gonna pull the toes back towards the torso, sitting up. I know this isn't entirely comfortable to be sitting in a 90-degree angle here. No, it's not comfortable, I know. And then after that, we're gonna point and flex. So you can do one at a time or both together. Excellent. All right, so release that one, and then we're gonna do circles around with ankles. You can do one at a time, both together or opposites, both directions. Excellent. All right, release that one, and then we're gonna do supinate and pronate, so the sole of the foot in towards the center, out towards the side, back and forth, both together or opposites. Excellent. All right, release that one, and then we'll finish off with windshield wipers. Two options. You just go side to side, or I like this one, toes in and then toes out. Excellent. Release that and shake it out. And then option, you can stay with the legs out straight, or you can sit cross-legged. I'm just gonna sit up on the blanket. And then we'll bring the arms out in front, tuck the thumb, wrap the fingers, and make circles with the wrists. Getting bigger circles into the elbows and the shoulders. Excellent. Release that, shake it out, palms together, interlace the fingers, and make figure eights. Excellent. And then we're going to pause for a moment, pull the hands apart, switch which fingers on top. Do a few more. Excellent. Release that and shake it out. I think we'll skip the neck and shoulders for now because we've got a bunch of different stuff to do. So let's do our 6 directions of the spine. So if your legs are out straight, hands under the thighs. If your legs are crossed, hands under the knees. We're going to start with the exhale back to cat. And then inhale, rounding up cow. Excellent. Getting all the little tight spots warmed up. Excellent. And then coming back to neutral. Let's do our laterals next. We're going to bring one hand down to the floor. Inhale this other arm up and over. You can go past the midline. Exhale, bring it back. And as you warm up, you might find you go a little deeper. And using the hand that's on the floor, push into the floor. That keeps that opposite knee from popping up. Excellent. All right. Let's do one more time each side. Excellent. And then back to center. All right. So next we're going to do a nice gentle twist. So inhale nice and tall in the spine, and then on the exhale, turn to the first side. Inhale, center. Exhale, second side. One more time each side, or finish off evenly. And then back to center. All right, our counter pose, we're going to do some forward folds here. So if the legs aren't out straight already, go ahead and bring them out. So we want to keep a little softness in the knees here, so we're not hyperextending the back of the knees there. And feet can be relaxed. We're going to inhale, bring the arms up. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, tap down wherever you reach. Inhale, bring it back up. And exhale, fold forward. Tap down, coming back up. Exhale down, we're gonna do one more. Inhale, coming up, and then exhale. Grab the legs wherever you reach. We're gonna pull the chest forward, and then exhale, drop the chin. Relax the spine. Excellent. When you're ready to come out, we're going to extend the arms over the legs, push the legs into the floor. Inhale. And then exhale and release. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to come up onto hands and knees and do, we're not going to do that many on hands and knees, but we'll do a few. All right, so if you want to bring a blanket or towel under the knees, you can set that up. All right, so to start, we're actually going to open up the soles of the feet a little bit here. So we're going to curl the toes. Like this. Curl the toes, and then we're going to send the hips back towards the heels. All right, so curl the toes, hips come back. So don't go over far on this in case you get foot cramps or calf cramps. And then release it, come back up to a neutral table. And then if you want, you can pound the top of the feet into the mat, loosen them up a little bit. Excellent. All right, next, let's do our cat and cow. So we're going to exhale cat. Inhale cow. So we want to reverse the curve, but we're not dumping the belly towards the floor. Exhale back to cat. Inhale cow. And just back and forth between the two. Excellent. And then finish the one you're on. We'll do a cow. Inhale cow. Exhale cat, and then we'll come down to child's pose. And we'll just pause here for a breath or so. Excellent. Coming back up to our table. Let's do a couple spinal balance, and then we'll do gate pose and then come up. Or no, sorry. We're going to do our low lunge, and then we'll come up. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to do spinal balance. We're gonna send one leg back, the opposite arm comes forward. Take a couple breaths here. Excellent, and then release. And then let's do the other side. Extend the other leg back, and then the opposite arm comes forward. Excellent, and then release. And then we'll do gate pose. And then we'll do our low lunge. Okay, so we're gonna bring one foot out to the side. And then that same arm, we're gonna inhale and bring that hand up towards the ceiling. Excellent, exhale, bring it down. 2 more, inhale. And exhale. And then last one, inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. All right, tuck that knee under. Opposite foot goes out. And then inhale, bring that hand up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring it back. Again, inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. All right, tuck that knee under. And then we're going to come up to our high gate pose. So we're kneeling our tall gate. All right. So we're going to bring one foot out to the side. You can have your hands on the hip, or that hand of that leg that's extended can come down that leg. Take that opposite arm, inhale, bring it up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, bring that hand towards the extended foot. Inhale, vertical. Exhale, over. Inhale, bring it up. And one last time. Exhale, over. Inhale, vertical. And then exhale, release. So you have your blocks. If you want to use the block to switch knees, you can bring that block in front and then switch the other foot out. And then this hand can be on that hip or down that leg. And then we're going to bring that opposite arm up. And then exhale, hand towards the foot. Inhale, vertical. Exhale, over. Inhale, bring it up. And one more time. Exhale, over. Inhale, bring it up. And then exhale and release. All right, tuck that knee under. Grab your blocks. And we're gonna do our low lunge, and then we're gonna do baby camel. So since we're working with the quads, strengthening and stretching is what we're looking at. All right, so first things first. Okay, so our low lunge, we're gonna bring both blocks over to one side, and then we're gonna bring the opposite foot out. So if I have my blocks to the left, my right foot's in front, or vice versa. And then we're going to center that foot so it's in line with that hip joint. And if you don't need blocks, that's fine. But it gives you a little bit more space in the torso here. All right, so first thing we're going to do is send the pelvis down towards the floor. This knee is going to come in front of the toes. So we're getting compression in the knee, we're getting flexibility in that ankle. And then we're also getting a stretch in the front of that hip flexor on the opposite side. Nice. All right, coming back up to neutral. So here's your options. You can stay here on the blocks or bring the hands up onto the knee. Next option, you can stay here or bring the hands up towards the ceiling. Excellent. And then next option, we're going to bring the pelvis back down towards the floor. That knee is going to come forward again. Last option, we haven't done a lot of back bend stuff, but if you want, crescent moon is bringing the hands back. Excellent. Back to neutral. Hands come down to the knee. You can bring it back to the blocks, and then we're going to switch legs. So that knee goes back. You can either bring that foot, the opposite foot through, or bring the blocks over to the side and out and around. All right, so here we go on this side. First order of business, we're gonna bring the pelvis down towards the floor again. This knee comes forward. Excellent, back up to neutral. Next option, hands on the block or hands up on that bent knee. Next choice, hands up towards the ceiling. And then here we go again. Pelvis comes back down towards the floor. Excellent. Back up to neutral, and then you want to come into that crescent moon pose. Work your way back to neutral, hands to that knee, hands to the block, and then send that knee back. All right, you guys doing okay so far? All right. For our baby camel, we bring the blocks, back by the ankles. All right, we're not doing a full camel, which if you're curious, I'm not gonna do it, but it's basically both hands on the heels and it's a very deep back bend. So we're not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
Nobody's doing, I'm not even doing that. But we're gonna do the practice to get to work up our way towards it, but we're not going there. So first thing we're gonna do is bring the hands on the back of the hips. And then like we do when we do like a standing back bend, we're like straight ahead, inhale, look up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, come back. If anybody gets dizzy at any point, come into child's pose, inhale, looking up, exhale back. One last time like that, inhale, and exhale. So I don't know if you noticed, if you're paying attention, but by doing that, we're lengthening this whole chain of muscles from the hip flexors down into the quads. All right, so now we're gonna add the arms. And it just looks like this. We're gonna inhale, bring one arm up. If you go past the torso, you go back a little bit, bring it down, and then inhale the other arm, and back. If you have any kind of spinal issues, you can put the other hand on that low back as you go back for support, or don't do it. It's always an option. All right, one more time each side. All right, if you want, I got one more option to do with this. If you want to just hang out or come into child's pose, that's totally fine. So we're going to bring one hand back on one of the blocks, which is by your ankle. And then if you want, you can bring this other arm up. If you don't, that's fine. And then exhale, come back to neutral. And then we'll do the other side. Do one more time each side. Excellent. And release. Come back here. If you want, you can sit on the heels, come into child's pose, or stay with the hips up and come down to puppy pose. We'll take a couple breaths here. Nice. When you're ready, we're going to come back up to table. And then from here, we're going to come up to standing. So options, if you want to come and sit and then come up to standing, if that's easier, or you want to use the blocks, bring one foot up, and then come up to standing from there. You can do that. Just don't trip over your blocks or your blanket or anything. All right, let's see what's next. So let's do our moving balance, warrior one, and then we're gonna do some, it's kind of knee/quad stuff. Somebody in one of my other classes was struggling with going downstairs. And so that's good practice for quads, working on some of those things. So that's what we're about today. All right, so what did I say first? Moving balance. All right. All right, so yeah, move your stuff out of the way. And then we're gonna start with palm tree pose. So option just to come up on the toes. Option to just move the arms, which I feel like we've done a bit now. So maybe they feel warmed up, or put it all together. Arms up on the toes, exhale down. Excellent. One more. All right. If you want, anytime you can shake it out. And then let's do our Karate Kid flying crane. And let's do, since we've been moving the arms big, that's the one I'm going to do. So knee up, opposite arm up, and then switch. You can do any of the other ones if you prefer. Excellent. All right, one more time each side or finish off evenly. Nice. Alrighty, so Warrior One. We're doing this mostly because we want to warm up the knees for some of the other stuff we're going to do. So I'm not as concerned about the arms, and if your arms are tired or you have shoulder issues, you can choose a different one than what I'm gonna do. All right, so let's start with the knees here. So we're gonna step 1 foot forward. That back foot can be turned out at an angle, wherever that feels comfortable. And if you wanna look down at the toes as you're doing this, make sure they're lined up. We're gonna exhale over the second and third toe. Hands can be down by your side or on the hips. And we also wanna keep the torso perpendicular to the floor. So it's like that instead of like that. All right. Excellent. All right, push off, step back or step that back foot forward. Let's go to the other side, turn that foot out, step that second foot forward. Inhale, straight leg, exhale, bend. Again, we're aiming for that second and third toe. Very nice. All right, push off, step back or step that back foot forward. And then let's add the arms. I'm gonna do cactus arms. If there's a different version that you prefer, you are always welcome to do that. Hands to the heart or arms straight up. I'm gonna do this one, inhale, bend at the elbows, exhale back. Excellent, one more. Nice, all right, let's switch feet. And then again, you have the option to switch the arms up to a different version if you like. Otherwise, same here, inhale and exhale. Nice, and one more. Awesome. All right, step the feet back together. And let's do some fun quad stuff, which everything's connected, so it's kind of about the knee as well, but there you have it. Okay, so I'm going to, first thing we're going to do is something that actually works better at a counter, like a little bit higher than this, but we have chairs, so that's where we're going to do it. So we're going to grab our chairs. I'm going to go sideways so you can see what I'm doing, but you can do this, line up your chair on your mat. I'm just going to go sideways so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so what we're doing is we're bending both knees, basically. This isn't a big movement. That's not even really a pose, but anyway, so the feet are about a half step away from each other. You guys like that? All right, and what we're going to do is we're just going to bend both knees. And then stand up, and then bend both knees. So pay attention to if there's spots that are tight. I can feel my my left calf is tighter than my right calf, and it might be different on the other side. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to switch feet. And just notice if there's something different. So my right quad is tighter than my left quad. Just noticing, maybe I'll stretch one side differently than the other. But this also feels better because we did those warrior ones. So if you're noticing that if you do this without those, it might feel different. Excellent. Okay, so you can leave your chair on your mat, and then we're going to come over to the side so that it's next to the chair. If you don't need the chair, that's fine, but I definitely noticed it's easier with the chair. And also, whenever we're using a prop like this, we don't want to grab on to the prop. We're just resting our fingers, because then that comes up the chain, and now I've got my shoulders being challenged. Okay, so on there. Basically what we're doing is we're pretending we're going downstairs without going down the stairs. So we're gonna pick one foot, and that foot's gonna stay where it is. We're gonna bend that knee. And then we're extending the other leg straight out with the toes up. So we're not pointing the toes, they're flexed. And then we're going to attempt to bring that foot down towards the floor. And then come up to a straight leg. Yeah, so if you have trouble going downstairs, this is going to be like, if you don't, you're like, what are we even doing? The other thing to watch, because I just saw myself do it, is my knees going out towards my pinky toe. So we want to try and keep that bent knee going over the center of that foot. All right, if this is easy and you think we're wasting time here, we're not, because we need strong quads. But if this is easy just to come down here, what you want to do, I don't have anything to measure, but I'll do this. So I'm coming down right about here. You can put tape on the floor and then go further out. And then it's more of a challenge. So before I was doing it this side of the block, now attempting to go the further side. So don't hurt yourself, don't overdo it, because we got to do the other side. I'm going to flip my chair around, but you guys can just flip your direction. All right. So we're going to bend that knee. Look at the knee and make sure it's not going off to one side. And then we're going to bend the knee and touch the opposite heel towards the floor. Let's do this for the... And then if that's easy, you can go out further. So if you're starting and you're right up by your other foot, try and go a little further. Excellent. If that feels about even, release that and shake it out. And then, what was the next one? Okay, this isn't gonna work in here, but I'm gonna demonstrate and then you can practice at home. Because I don't think there's enough wall space without something on it. So I'll just do a quick one to show you. So option to use a block with this, it's going to activate different muscles. So you can do some without and some with. So wall sits, leaning up against a wall, right? And then you bend your knees and you can move your feet in and out. So it's not this where you're forcing the shoulders back because you're gonna give yourself cramps. All right, so this, and then as it gets easier, you're gonna come down a little bit lower.
Chair.
Yeah, you could, but if you're leaning over while you're doing this, it's not getting into the quad muscles, it's your back. So if you have your back on the wall, it's the quad muscles. Okay, other option is to use a block in between the legs. So when you do the block and try it at home, you're activating these outer quad muscles. So quad means four, there's four muscles here. These two are working the inside one and the outside one. The block does the outside one. 2 minutes, and you're gonna curse my name. All right, oh, and then the other one with the wall. So this is more for your shins, but everything's connected. So I hate to put all this weight on this door, but I'll go right through it. So this one, the knees are straight-ish, and we're gonna lift the toes up. So this one, I can feel this one more because it's going to depend on what you need, which one. Okay, so you've got those two. If you want to practice after class, I can show you if you want to see those again. And then, let's do this since we have the block and a chair. So we're going to take the chair and the block. And the chair is mostly for not falling over, right? Let's see. And this is, so like I just said, everything is connected. So if we have tight hamstrings or tight quads, we're gonna go up the muscle chain or down the muscle chain with issues. All right, so this one I like because it's fun. Do not overdo it if you've had anything replaced. Just be super careful or do a blanket instead of the block. Just height difference, it's half as much. All right, so here we go. We're gonna bring one foot up on the block, gently holding on to the chair. If you can do this without a chair, don't, because that makes me nervous. All right, so we have the feet are kind of next to each other, and then we're going to, without bending the knee, dip that foot down, and then bring it up higher. And you may feel this later, especially if you sit a lot. Okay, we're not gonna overdo this one, so do one more. Bring it back to neutral, and then step down. So you may wanna switch sides with the chair, or if you just wanna reach over, that's fine too. So starting out parallel, and then we're gonna go down without bending the knee, and then up. So we do get a bit of movement with this because we do a lot of laterals and that sort of stuff, but this feels awesome to me. I apologize if you hate this one. All right, back to neutral. Stepping down, release, shake it out. All right, one last thing with the chair and then we'll move it out of the way. So, oh no, two things. Forgot our big one that we're gonna do. So when we do dancer pose on pole day, we're not always able to reach our foot to pull it up and hold on to it while we do a balance. So we're actually going to use this as a little bit of a quad stretch instead of being out of balance today. So shin is on the seat of the chair, and you can hold on to the top of the chair if you want. And then what we're going to do is we're going to step the other foot so it's in front of the chair, and then the knee is going to come off the front of the chair. So if we have the knee, well, it depends on your height. So I have my knee off the front of the chair so I can get a bigger stretch in here. If you have tall legs, you may not need to do that. And then what you can do is keep it coming forward. And you may or may not be feeling a stretch here, depending on how tight stuff is. You bring this other hand to the hip, and then we're gonna do just a baby back bend, not too big. And see if you can feel that hip flexor. So from the hip socket to the knee, this is this whole area that we're working on this stretch for. So if you don't want to do a back bend, you can just bring the pelvis forward until your eyes pop out. If you're not tight there, you're not going to feel as much as somebody who is. Excellent. Okay, back to neutral. We're going to take that foot off. And then I'm just going to do this in front, but if you want to switch your chair around, you can. And you might also discover that one side is tighter than the other, and that's pretty normal because we have asymmetrical habits, right? All right, so my knee is off the front of the chair. I'm going to either do a back bend to feel that lengthening there, or without a back bend, I can just send the pelvis forward. And this side isn't as tight as the other. But also we've done a bunch of other stuff, so. All right, when you're ready to come out, come back to neutral. And then we're gonna bring that leg down, shake them both out. And then we're gonna use the chair for one more thing. I know I keep saying one more thing. All right, we're gonna do different versions of half moon pose. So first one is going to be with the chair. Let's see. And weirdly, now we're going to do our arm on the chair. So let me see, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Do it this way. Okay. So we're facing the chair like this. So it's to the side, the back of the chair is going to be the side, straight leg, arm bent side. All right, so foot is a little bit outside from the chair. You can bring both hands to the seat of the chair. We're gonna have, make sure your props are out of the way here. We're gonna have the toes of the back foot touching the floor. And then bend that front knee slightly. We're gonna lift up this back leg. And so you may just keep your hand on the seat, or you may come down to the forearm, depending on how you feel. All right, so whichever leg is up, that arm is going to go up. So I've got my left leg up, my left arm is going to come up. And then the other thing that you're doing is, all right, you guys come out. I want to show you something. So right now, my left hip is pointing towards the floor. I want to bring that up so it's pointing towards the wall. Somebody just said no way. All right, so come down. We'll do that on the other side. All right, check it out. That one's intense, I know. All right, so we're facing the chair the other way. Hands come to the seat. We're gonna send the other foot towards the back. Bend that straight leg. We're gonna lift the leg. And then you can either stay on the hand or come down to the forearm. And before you bring that arm up, lift that other hip. So it's pointing down towards the floor, and then you're gonna turn it so that it's facing the wall instead. If you have your balance here and you want, you can bring the other arm up. If not, just hold on to the chair. Excellent, all right. Bring that hand down, bend the knee, bring the feet together, shake it off. That one's easier at the wall, but we don't have wall space, so I can show you on the wall, but I kind of don't want you practicing at home by yourself. All right, now we can move the chairs out of the way. And let's see. We're gonna do that. So let's do, we're gonna do squat folds and then come down to the floor. You thought that last one was the hardest, right? Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna inhale, arms come up. Exhale, hinge at the hip joints, fold forward, soften the knees. Inhale, bring the arms up, bend the knees as you come up. And then exhale, come into a squat. Just, you don't have to go all the way down in because we're coming right back up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, squat. And then one more round. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, back up. Exhale, squat. So option to just fall on the floor from here, or you can come up and then come back down.
Falling on the floor.
Right? Especially after a squat.
Very assist.
Or the floor is coming up to meet you, one or the other.
Exactly. Point of view.
All right. This is not punishment, I promise, but we're going to come onto the belly. You don't want to know what actually punishment is. All right, so coming down onto the belly. No, all right. So, we should have gotten straps. Oh, well. Next time. So first thing we're going to do is at any time if you are need to relax or it's gotten to be too much, while we're on the belly, you can come into alligator pose, which is elbows out, hands stacked, forehead on the hands. So that's our rest pose or counter pose, whatever, for anything on the belly. So let's see. We're going to start with bow pose, and we're not going to, well, you're welcome to do the full thing, but it's not required. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to bend one knee at a time and bring the heel towards the head. So just switching back and forth. Excellent. Okay, so the second part of bow pose is the arms. So we're gonna bring one arm in front, and then it comes out and back. From here, you can grab that foot or the ankle, wherever you're reaching. If you can't reach your foot, just pretend that you are. Extend the arm back, heel towards the hand. If you can reach it, great. If not, you're totally fine. Release that side, do the other side. Arm comes in front and then around. That rotation really helps get that arm back. If you just try and reach back, you're not going to get back as far. All right, relax that one. Let's do it one more time each side. Release that side. We'll do the second side. Excellent. Relax that side. And then bonus round. You knew that was coming, right? Both arms in front. And then one at a time, if you can grab each foot. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just go back and forth. All right. If you are holding on to both feet and you want to go one more level up, you're going to tuck the chin and push the feet into the hands and come up on the belly like a bow. Awesome. All right. Release. Come back to alligator pose. Take a couple breaths. I know I'm panting. All right. We're going to do one last thing on the belly here. But be careful, especially if you have any back issues. We're going to do the bottom half of locust pose. All right. So the hands get tucked under the body. So kind of under the pelvis or the top of the legs. And again, we're going to keep the chin tucked towards the chest. The head is off the floor a little bit. And then we'll do this one step at a time. We're going to lift one leg at a time. Excellent. Okay, and then next option is to lift both legs. And then release. One more time if you got it. And then release. Back to alligator pose. The full expression of that one is the chest comes up and the legs come up, but we're not going to do that today. Or probably ever. Don't worry. All right. From here, once you're ready, we're going to roll over onto the spine. I'm going to sit up and flip my mat sideways just for viewers at home. But you guys don't need to do that. So, all right. So whatever elegant way you want to come and get onto the spine is totally fine. All right, so we did a bunch of movement with the quads. So tomorrow, if they're tight or you overdid it on something, move them. It helps get the relaxation going again. Instead of if they're tight and you don't move them, they stay tighter. So do whatever kind of movement feels good tomorrow if they're feeling stressed. All right, so let's start with our Apanasana here. So 3 options. You can do one leg at a time. Exhale, one knee in, inhale, foot goes back to the floor, and then the other side. Second option, both knees together. And then third option is wide knees. Knees are out wider than the hips. So any of those, whichever one you like. Excellent. All right, we're gonna bring the feet back down to the mat. Arms down by your side. We're gonna do some bridge pose. If you can reach your block and you want to use a block, you're welcome to do that. If you can't or don't want to, that's always okay too. But again, it's gonna activate different muscles if you're holding on to the block. So heels, knees, and hip joints are lined up. Arms down by your side. We're just gonna do a standard bridge pose a bunch of times. All right, here we go. So we're gonna push the feet into the mat. Inhale, arms come up, hips come up. And then exhale, arms down, hips down. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, down. Excellent. Finish the one you're on and do one more. Excellent. If you've used a block, you can move that out of the way. And we're gonna do, it reminds me of a book, so we'll do a book twist. All right, so we're gonna come over onto our side. We're gonna bring both arms out, straight out in front. And knees are stacked. And then if you have a blanket you want under your head, you can do that too. All right, so we're gonna take this top arm with the inhale and open that hand up towards the ceiling and then keep going as far as is comfortable. Maybe you reach the floor, maybe you don't, either way. And then exhale, bring it back. So let's do that a couple more times. I'll just let you go on your own, moving at your own breath pace. But we did a lot more concentration on the legs, so just do a little chest opener here with a twist. Excellent. Finish the one you're on and do one more. Excellent. And then we're going to do the other side. So arms out in front. You're going to inhale, open. Going just as far as is comfortable. Maybe this side is tighter than the other. It's just something to notice. Maybe what habits lead to that asymmetrical feeling. And finish the one you're on and do one more. And then after that, we're going to come on back onto the spine. And from here, let's do our, I don't remember the name for these, but it's feet up towards the ceiling, arms overhead. So we're going to exhale, bring the knees to the chest, hands on the knees. On the inhale, arms up overhead, feet up towards the ceiling. If you want, you can point and flex the feet. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to knees. Inhale, open, point and flex. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to knees. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, open, point and flex. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to knees. Nice, 1 more time. Inhale, open, point and flex. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to knees. Nice. If you want a nice little gentle rock side to side. Excellent. And then Bring the feet down to the mat. And then option to keep the knees bent, feet in the mat, or extend the legs all the way straight out. We're gonna finish off with our palm tree pose arms down by the sides. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale back. If you want to take a pause here and do a good morning stretch, extend the heels and the fingertips away from the center. Nice big inhale and exhale. And then let's do 2 more palm tree pose arms. And then getting ready for our relaxation pose. I'm going to sit up so you can hear me better. Get any last little wiggles out. Do a full body relaxation, walking up the body. Relaxing each part as we go. Starting with the feet. Relax the toes. Relax the tops of the feet, the soles of the feet, and the heels. Release the ankles. Relax the calves and shins. Release the knees and the space behind the knees. Relax the tops of the thighs and the backs of the thighs. Let the pelvis be heavy and sink into the earth. Relax the abdomen. Release the rib cage and let go of breath. Let the shoulders be heavy and sink into the earth. Relax the upper arms, elbows, and lower arms. Release the wrists. Relax the hands, fingers, and palms. Relax the throat and the back of the neck. Release the jaw. Smooth the forehead and face. Let any last thoughts seep out the top of the crown of the head. Let the earth's gravity hold you. Let the air around you breathe you. Take the next few moments and just be. Gently coming back into awareness. Wiggle your toes. Wiggle your fingers. If you'd like, you can roll your head side to side. When you're ready, and with an inhale, pushing up to a comfortable seated, rolling over onto one side or the other. And then when you're ready, with an inhale, sitting up to a comfortable seated position. And because it's spring and joyful and nice outside, we're going to do 3 breaths of joy. So I'll show you one and then we can do 3 together. All right, hands on the heart, inhale, arms down, and then come up, fingertips touch, and then exhale, arms come around, hands to heart. All right, 3 times. Ready? Here we go. Inhale. Hands down, arms up, fingertips touch. Exhale all the way back around, hands to heart. And you can switch which hand touches first. Again, inhale. And exhale. And one last time. Inhale. Fingertips touch. Exhale. Hands to heart. Nice. Palms together. And namaste. Excellent, guys.
I did.